Howdy. My name is Carolyn Kram, Malik. That's right, you heard me right. Kram, as in Reverend Charles Kram. I am a second cousin to Reverend Charles. My father and he were first cousins. As a youngster growing up in the big city of Shiner, I belonged to the Junior Catholic Daughters of America. Reverend Charles was our pet project at the time, although he was not a priest at this time, since he contracted polio while he was still in the seminary. We would go visit him at his parents' home on holidays and for special occasions. It always amazed me watching him, how he could handle that stick in his mouth to type on his typewriter and to talk to people all over the world with his ham radio. In fact, when we were there, he would actually go online, or whatever you want, we call it online now, but he would get on his ham radio and he would talk to people across the water. He was always cheerful and he was always in good spirits. His mother and father to me were living saints, catering to his every need. Following the passing of his mother, Uncle Carl still managed to care for him alone until his untimely accident while burning grass in the pasture. Truly, his parents are saints in heaven, and they're reunited with their son for all of eternity. I was deeply honored to assist at his ordination in 1975. The kindergarten girls were asked to serve as flower girls for the procession into Mass. My daughter, and also Joe's daughter, was in this class, so it was a special privilege for me. I purchased little baskets and decorated them to look festive. It was truly a special occasion in Shiner. Reverend Charles accepted his handicap, never complaining, always very patient. He would always ask how you're doing. Even the few times that I got to Yoakum after he got to the hospital in Yoakum to visit him, he would always be more concerned about me than him. He was a very patient and humble man. He wrote many homilies, which are still being published in the diocesan newspaper. Yeah.
I understand there was over 100 priests at that ordination.
Oh, it was huge. It was huge. The little flower girls, I got rose petals. I don't have to have these things on now. Got rose petals, I think, from the florist or wherever. And they sprinkled their little flowers all the way up. We had a white altar, whatever you call that, the aisle runner. Mm-hmm. And then the little girls with their little flowers, and it was really exciting.
Yeah, we have a picture of that.
You have a
picture of the girls
with their sprinkling their little flowers.
Yeah, just a picture, yeah.
Yeah. I'm probably responsible for the picture because since I was in charge of those little girls,
yeah,
I took all kind of pictures. It was exciting then when he was able to be ordained. Yeah.
It was really something how he was the ordination. The church, they said, was completely packed.
Oh yeah.
And then the next day, I believe he said Mass.
He celebrated his first Mass. Yes.
He celebrated his first Mass.
Yes. And I cannot remember who helped him at that Mass. I should have looked at my pictures of it to help my memory.
You know what always amazed me is how, you didn't have central air or central heat, and how many times he might have been suffering when it was too cold.
They had him in the when you walk, it's an old-fashioned house. You got to think old-fashioned. When you walk in from the porch, it was like a corridor.
Yeah.
And of course it was big. It just wasn't a small corridor. And that's where they had him. I can remember his bed on the, no, his bed was on this side of the corridor. And he had all his radio equipment on this side. And he talked to people all over. I mean, not just in the United States, he talked to people across the water. It was amazing. And he would get on that ham radio and talk when we were there.
Oh, yes?
Yeah. It was just really amazing how he never let his situation, his human frailty, get him down. He was always positive. You know, like I said at the beginning, you would walk in and he would say, "How are you doing?" You know, or always wanting to know what's going on in your life. You know, so yeah, he was really something else. Good positive attitude. Anyway.
Yeah, he's it's so many different reflections that people have of him, about him always being positive, never complaining,
Never.
and always being patient
Oh yeah.
with needing things for his physical being, and yet he was patient that people would, you know.
Would help him. When I was at the hospital one time, I remember he wanted, I don't remember why he was wanting that box, but it was a box that he had. He was very organized. He had everything, he knew what was in which box. And he wanted that box from up there. And, you know, with his stick, he pointed where that box was so you could get it down so he could get whatever it was. I don't know if it was a holy card or whatever. But, yeah, he was very patient.
And one of the really trying times was when his father was being burnt in that fire, and he was on the front porch, and he could do absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm. You have to watch it.
And one of the Protestant ministers came to him at that time because he was friends with him, and he just kind of consoled him. And that was very agonizing at that time because he didn't know what was going to happen to him then.
Mm-hmm.
He had no idea what, now I'm going to go to the nursing home or what. And according to what we read, Father Fidgen at that time, our pastor, and Mr. Bishop Grumman, I think he was still a priest at that time, they both found out that they needed a chaplain in Yoakum. That they had requested a chaplain for years and years, and there wasn't enough priests to become a chaplain.
Go around.
And so within a few days, he was moved to Yoakum as a chaplain, and it was almost, and according to what some of the people were saying, it was almost like a wedding made for heaven, you know.
Yeah.
He would serve them, and they would serve him.
And he could have mass there and everything.
He had mass. He had mass there. He could baptize babies whenever they were premature and they might pass away. I understand that he would kind of park his wheelchair by the emergency room when somebody would come in to see what he could do. He never got in the way of anybody, but if there's any way he could minister sacraments or help them with any kind of way, he was always there for them.
What was going on down here?
And we even found out that there was one of the nurses that worked there. She actually had her wedding there. That Father Kram officiated at the
Oh,
wedding.
darn. That's pretty cool.
So the whole time he was there, he was always ministering, and so it was helping them, and they would help him.
Mm-hmm.
In all of his services. So it's just so great to hear the younger parts about him. And as you said about his mom and dad being saints,
Oh yeah.
that's what a lot of people say. Saints build saints around them
Mm-hmm.
because they help, and although they're not canonized, they still
They're
are
saintly.
saintly people.
Yeah.